So hello grade 11 students. In this video we're going to talk about genetics part 3. Here we move to the steps of the factorial analysis. We have the phenotype of the individuals. Second step we have the genotype. Third step we have the gametes. Fourth step we have the table of cross. And the fifth step is going to be the table of results. So moving to the case of codominance. Pay attention here to the case of codominance. What the meaning of codominance? As I said before, codominance. First of all, we said that the first type of crosses is the dominance. In the case of dominance, if one allele is dominant over the second, which is recessive. So this is the first case. This is the case of dominance. Second case here is the case of codominance. What the meaning of codominance? Codominance, as I said before, it's co-expression. So two alleles, they are expressed together. So it's called co-expression. Okay? Two alleles, they are expressed together. This is the case of co-expression. So two alleles are expressed. So here, example about this is the blood group. Blood group AB is the best example and the simplest example about the codominance. Expression of two alleles together. We have allele A of the blood group. We have three alleles, as you know, allele A, allele B, and allele O. A and B, they are dominant, while allele O is recessive. So you have to pay attention here that allele A and B, they are dominant. And both of them, they are usually symbolized by capital letter. In the case of blood group AB, also both of them, they're going to usually symbolize by capital letter. But here we have both antigen A and antigen B. So we have allele A and allele B, both of them, they are expressed. That's why we have individual having blood group AB. Okay? So blood group A and blood group B, allele A and allele B, we have, and they mix together, they give blood group AB. Here we have some examples about also the codominance, the case of, for example, let's say we have a black dog that is crossed with a white dog. Black and crossed with a white. So black and white, they gave birth, their offspring, they become, for example, black dotted with white spots or white dotted with the black spots, whatever. So this is the case of codominance. Both alleles, they are expressed. If you want to give the symbols, you have to give the symbols where both of them, they are capitalized. For example, black and white, let B capital be the symbol of the black allele, which is in the case of codominance with the white allele. And let W capital be the symbol of the allele, white allele, which is in codominance with the black allele, which is dominant too. Okay? So both of them should be capitalized. And ما في عندي capital and the small. Both of them, they are dominant. That's why it's called codominance. So this case of codominance, as I said, the best example is the ABO, the blood group. And father and mothers, they have blood groups A and B respectively. Let's move to this details and let's talk about these details. Okay, so here we move to this example. This is example about the blood groups. Parent having pure. So blood group A and blood group B. Imagine that we have my parents. My father has blood group A and my mother has blood group B. Mr. Muhammad becomes blood group AB. Okay, so first case, the parents are pure. What did we say about the pure, Yajwal? Meaning that they are homozygous or heterozygous?
Homozygous.
Homozygous, يعني for example blood group A. What is the possible genotype حتى يكون homozygous with blood group A?
Just A.
يعني genotype should be A. Okay?
Yes.
While blood group B, Yaleen, is homozygous. Homozygous meaning that it's blood group B. So it has two identical alleles. So the possible genotype should be what? Should be B. So here I start first with the phenotype. Phenotype of the parents. I said here the parents are pure. I gave you the hint here that the parents are pure. Sometimes I'm going to say that the parents are hybrid, and we are going to move it in the second example. So the parents are pure. You can use this if you want to talk about the phenotype. You can use this parenthesis. Okay, if you use this meaning I'm talking about the phenotype. So phenotype here, phenotype blood group A. We are talking about blood group, and here it's B. So since they are pure, so they are homozygous. They have two identical alleles. So male it's AA and the female is BB. And gametes. What are the possible gametes? First gamete, Mahdi, first gamete is going to be A. and the second is going to be A. I can't write A 50% then A 50%. I can add them. A it's 100%. It can give unless A ما فيها تعطيني إلا بس A. Okay? Or if I want to work it as a proportion, and pay attention to this, if I work it proportion, instead of using 100, what do I use? I use 1. 1 over 1 if you want. Here also we have BB in the female. BB, the possible gametes, they are B, only B, 100%. Or I can use B, I can use a proportion, I can use 1. Okay? So table of cross, male it's A 100%, female B 100%. So the genotype is going to be AB 100%. So here, the genotype table of result, AB 100%, it will give 100% individuals of blood group what? Of blood group A, B. Okay? Any questions before we move to the second case? This is the first case about the case where the parents are pure. Moving now to the second case. The second case talking about the parents, they are hybrid. Hybrid, what does this mean, Cynthia? What the meaning of hybrid?
And they're different.
Yani they
different
are
blood
heterozygous. Okay?
heterozygous.
Heterozygous, exactly. So the parents are heterozygous, male and blood group A. Can you give me, Cynthia, what are the possible genotypes for the individual having blood group A, regardless of hybrid or pure? Can you give me the possible genotypes? شو ممكن يكونوا genotypes of the individual having blood group A?
AA or AO.
Very good. AA or AO. It can be expressed in both cases, in the case of heterozygous or in the case of homozygous. Very good. Now I'm going to move to Hamad Hassan. Good morning. What do you think about blood group B? What are the possible genotypes for the individual having blood group B, regardless of homozygous or heterozygous? What are the possible genotypes?
genotypes لازم
Yes.
يكون BB
BB, this is one of the possibility. And the second is going
أو
to be
BO.
or BO. Very good. Thank you, Muhammad. Moving now to Tala. What do you think about individual blood group O, which is recessive?
Yes.
Yes. What are the possible genotype or genotypes?
Oh, 100%.
Genotype, I said.
No.
Not the gametes.
So it's OO.
Oh, very good. Oh. Tala in grade 8 that had problems in the blood group, if you remember. Problem in the blood group, and maybe we did it with the DNA analysis test. And بعدين مش الحال صح؟ So blood group A, blood group B. They said the parents are hybrid. So individual having blood group A hybrid, it should be AO. And blood group B, it's hybrid also, it should be BO. So what are the possible gametes? Possible gametes A 50%, O 50%, or here in the case of the female, B 50% or the O 50%. If I want to use it as a proportion, if I want to use this as proportion honey, so B 50%, O 50%, B 50%, or A 50%, what can I use instead of 50% if I want to use proportion honey?
1/2.
Very good. So as I بتستعمل proportion, pay attention to this. 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, and 1/2. This depends on the exercise and depends on the given. As أنا بالgiven أعطيك proportion, you have to use proportion. If I give you percentage, you have to use percentage. Moving now to the table of cross. The gametes of the male, they are A 50% or O 50%. Here, female B 50% or O 50%. Now مثل كأنه expand. A times B, AB. 50 times 50 divided by 100, so it's 25%. O times B, BO. They always will start with the dominant. BO, 25%. OA is AO, 25%, and OO, 25%. If I want to use proportion, instead of 50, I have to put 1/2. And here I have to put 1/2 if I want to use proportion, okay? So pay attention, we can work in both together, either proportion or percentage. But if I want to use proportion, 1/2 times 1/2, instead of 25, it will be 1/4. And here it will be 1/4, and here it's 1/4, and here it's 1/4, if I want to use proportion. Moving now to the genotype. We have AB, 25%. So 25%, they are what? They are having blood group AB. BO, it's B is dominant, so 25% have a blood group B. AO, 25%, so 25% have a blood group A. And OO, 25%, so 25% having blood group O. Here, if I want to use proportion, it's 1 over 4. Here is also it's 1 over 4. Here it's 1 over 4. And also here it's 1 over 4. So 1 over 4 having blood group AB. I repeat, if I want to use using the proportion. And 1 over 4 blood group B, 1 over 4 blood group A, and 1 over 4 blood group A. If I ask you, Cynthia, to verify the experimental results, then you have to mention that. Therefore, the experimental results are verified. Okay? This is the case of codominance. Do you have any question about the codominance before we move to the case of incomplete dominance, or which is called the intermediate dominance? Any questions before we move? Muhammad, Cynthia, Tala, Leen, Mahdi, Hani, Nada, Fatima, Saad, Ali
No,
Muslim. Well, any questions before we move to the case of intermediate dominance?
No why.
no, yes,
Okay, everything is clear?
yes.
Okay, clear. Yeah, let's continue to the case of intermediate dominance. Case of incomplete dominance, or it's called the intermediate dominance. I prefer to use the intermediate, even though we can use both of them. Intermediate is the color in the middle. For example, هلا هنحكي about the plants, snapdragon plants, a cross between two breathing lines. What the meaning of two breathing? Anyone can tell me what the meaning of two breathing lines?
هنا بيتنفسوا يا أستاذ.
اثنين بيتنفسوا. Oh my god. لين عجمي. Yes.
The parents are the same as the F1 generation is the same as
Descendants,
the
they are the
parents.
same as their parents. They have the same phenotype. Thank you, Lee. So descendants, they have the same phenotype as their parents. So here we have two breeding lines, one having red flowers and the other having white flowers. In this case, at least they are designated by capital letters. Whenever we talk about incomplete dominance or intermediate dominance, whenever you see this, both at least they are capitalized, like the case of codominance. بينما in the case of dominance, واحدة بتكون capital and the rest is going to be small letter. Pay attention to this. Here I'm going to move to the example about the snapdragon plant. So snapdragon plants, let's see what will happen here. We have these plants. Here they are red, and they decide they are true breeding, so they are pure. So they should be RR. Crossed with Y, they should be WW. They give in the first generation F1 pink. First of all, you have to keep it in your mind. Whenever the color is intermediate between the red and the white, which is the pink, so 100% this is the case of incomplete dominance, or what is known by the intermediate dominance. So in that one, we get 100% pink flowers. What are the genotypes? What are the possibilities? We will check in the next slide. Then they gave us in the F2. F2 always is F1 crossed with F1. So this is always the F2 generation. F1 crossed with the F1. What do you think, Nada? What do we call this type of cross? Whenever we cross F1 with F1.
Test cross.
F1 cross with F1. I cross F1 by itself.
Self cross.
Self cross. While the case of the crossing homozygous or heterozygous or dominant phenotype with a homozygous recessive, this is the test cross. Okay? So here we cross F1 with F1. What did we get? We get 25% having a flower with red color. We have 50% Andon pink, 25% we have white. So first of all, I determined the genotype of the parents, RRWW. They said they are true breeding, and they gave you the lesson on the question, they are pure. Okay, so now let's move to start step by step in this experiment. So, in the first part of this experiment, we have red crossed with white. We said that they are dominant and they are pure. So, male or female, it depends on the question here. They didn't mention the male and the female, so it's okay. Male having red crossed with the female having white. So, genotype of the parents, you have to use these steps in order. You have to start with first phenotype, then the genotype, then to the gametes, gamma, then table of cross, then the table of results. For sure, the table should be drawn using a pencil, ruler, and closed completely. Third note, important note, you have to use the symbols of male and females, and also you have to use this for the gametes. Okay? So I told important notes, and in the quiz, I'm going to work on this. And these are the notes or the hints, you have to use them in your quiz. So ما استعملتم, you will lose your points. Okay? First, phenotype. Phenotype, the male is red crossed with the white. Both of them, they are dominant since the case of intermediate dominance and usually symbolized by capital letter. But sure, before we start this part, what do we have to give? We have to give the symbols. You have to say, let R capital be the symbol of the allele coding for the red color, which is in intermediate dominance. Let W capital be the symbol of the allele for the white color allele, which is intermediate dominance. Genotype, the parents are pure, and we have them RR cross with WW. Gametes, as I said before, you can put R 50% with R 50%, and you can make the table larger, and you can waste time. Instead of this, you write immediately on R, it's 100%, and W, it's 100%. Table of cross, R and W. RW will give the pink. So RW, from now on in this equation, is the genotype of the pink flowers. So 100%, they have pink. So in the F1, all of them, they are pink, having genotype R capital, W capital. This is the first part. Second part, they said we have to cross F1 with F1. What is the genotype of the F1? It's RW. So it's RW crossed with RW, another RW. Okay, so let's move to the second cross. This is the most important part of this exercise. هيدا اللي بيهمني أكثر شيء. So this is the second important part of this question. The F1 crossed with the F1. Crossing F1 with F1 is called the self-cross, and you have to cross starting the same steps, factorial analysis. So in the question, I'm going to ask you perform the essential factorial analysis to verify the results. So Hans, Cynthia, I'm going to verify. Okay, so I have to write at the end, therefore the results are verified. Phenotype of the parents, both of them F1 crossed with F1, F1 and F1, they are pink. So pink crossed with pink. Genotype, both of them, they are R capital, W capital, crossed with R capital, W capital. Moving to the gametes, here we have two different alleles. So R represent 50% and W represent 50%. While in the female also, R represent 50% and W represents 50%. Here, if I'm using the percentage, if it's a proportion, half, 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 and half. Moving now to the table of cross and the table of results. Table of cross, male and female, both of them, they are having RW. So here we have RR, since crossing R and R. Then we have R and W, RW 25%. And here we have WR, you can use WR or RW, it doesn't matter. So here, and here we have WW 25%. Here we have RR. What is the color? RR 25%. So 25% will have red flowers, will have red color. RW, here we have 25, and here I have 25. So I can add them, RW and RW. For example, if it's RW, and the exam, you wrote WR, okay? And both of them, they are dominant. Both of them, they have the same genotype. So you can add them together. So RW and the RW, it's 25 plus 25 is going to be 50. So 50% having what? Having pink. Okay? Having the pink flowers. And the rest is WW 25%. So 25% having white flowers. So therefore, the sentence, they have to use it whenever they ask me to verify the experimental results. Therefore, the experimental results are verified. Here, I'm talking about, as I said, percentage. But if I'm talking about proportion, 50% simply is going to be half. 25% is going to be 1 over 4. And 100, you can put it 1 over 1 or 1, so it's okay. So here you have to pay attention in the quiz or in the questions. If I ask for a proportion or percentage. If I didn't mention in the quiz or the question, percentage or proportion, this is up to you. You can work either proportion or percentage. But if I mention in the quiz or in the question that you have to work as proportion or as percentage, you have to respect this. order or respect this given. Any question regarding this application about the intermediate dominance? Yeah, waiting for your questions. Everything is clear?
Yes.
Okay, great. Questions?
Yeah.
Ahmad Hassan, Joel, Mahdi Hajo.
No, thank you.
Okay, great. Tamam. So till now we have three different cases. The first case, it was the case of the dominance, where one is dominant and the second is recessive. This is the case of dominance. Second case is the case of codominance, where both alleles they are expressed. Third case is the case of intermediate dominance, where we have a color which is intermediate. Dominance, the first case, one allele is dominant and the second is recessive. That's why it's called the case of dominance. So one is going to be capital and the second one is going to be small letter symbols. While in the case of codominance, both of them they are dominant. So both of them they are capitalized. While in the third case, the case of intermediate dominance or incomplete dominance is called. So they have both of them they are capitalized, but you have a color which is intermediate, like the case here in the case of the pink flower, RW. In the case of pink flower, RW 50%. So 50% having pink flower. Pink, they are intermediate between red and white. So this is called incomplete dominance or intermediate dominance. So this is the three different cases regarding the cases of the crosses, where we have cases of dominance or intermediate dominance or codominance. Crosses, we said that we have first cross. Whenever we cross and they have difference in only one trait, it's called monohybrid cross. We talk about this in the first lecture on this year. Monohybrid cross, they differ in only one trait, and the parents are pure. Second cross is the self-cross, upon crossing F1 with F1. Third type of cross is called the test cross, crossing with homozygous and recessive. And we talked about this in the last session. So here you know the three different cases, case of dominance, intermediate dominance, codominance, three different types of crosses, monohybrid cross, parents are pure and differ in only one trait. Second type of cross is called the self cross, self يعني بضرب F1 cross with F1 مع حالة, it's called the self cross. Or the third type of crosses is called the test cross. We test the parents, the dominant phenotype, if they are pure or hybrid. We cross it with homozygous and recessive. This is everything to our session for this day. Thank you.